Entrepreneurs and small business owners, are you feeling overwhelmed by lack of capital, growth challenges, or personal branding? You are not alone. UCS Advisors is here for you. We're professional capital raising advisors committed to helping you secure funding and grow your business. Are you ready to impress investors? Check your investor readiness with our free 45-second quiz at ucsquiz.com. We believe in you. Visit ucsquiz.com and start your success journey. And remember, always be willing to achieve your greatness.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm your host, Mike Ham. We are here at Hobby's Deli in Newark, New Jersey with Michael and Marc Brummer. Guys, welcome to the show.
Nice to be here.
Mark is going to tell you it's Hobby's Delicatessen.
That's my bad. I should have asked that first. It does say it. The giant sign outside does say Hobby's Delicatessen, and it says it on your hat. So that way I won't be able to forget. So here's a funny anecdotal story to kick off the episode. So we had a call, you and me, and literally I said it to you on the phone. I was like, this is the most New Jersey deli call I've ever had, because it was like he answers the phone, he goes, hang on one second. He's like, hey, this is supposed to be on round rolls. And then we actually got into the conversation about doing this episode, and I was like, this is amazing. So I can't wait. And we just had lunch. Chrissy's over there. What's up, Chrissy? Just had lunch, was off the charts.
Thank you.
So really excited about this one. We really haven't done a ton in Newark, so I'm happy. This is kind of like one of the, we're 90-something episodes in at this point, and we've only done, I think, 2 other episods in Newark, so happy that you guys are kind of...
We've been around for a while.
Yeah, so it just kind of, eventually got here. But let's do a broad kind of history, like background, when you guys started, how long you've been here, and then we'll kind of just start telling more stories about this place and, kind of what goes on here.
Okay, so our resident historian, Mark, will take over.
Okay, so place is over 100 years old. Our family's here over 60. Place was originally called Hockey's, Hockys'. Fellow by the name of Hockhauser owned this place, this location. He owned 3 or 4 other locations in the area. And in 1937, this location was bought, but the person who bought it didn't buy the name. Of course, the name has value.
Sure.
So they had to change the sign. So there are 2 ways to make money in business. One is to bring money in, and the other one is to keep money from going out.
Yeah.
So rather than changing the whole sign, they changed 2 letters.
That's awesome.
Welcome to Hobby's.
Yeah.
And that's a classic delicatessen story.
Yeah, really.
You look anywhere you can, this is a business that's not built on dollars, it's built on pennies. And you look for any way you can save a little here. So, if you need to spend something, you have it.
Yeah.
So classic delicatessen story, how we got the name. Our father bought it in 1962.
Okay. Did he have enough background in delis and stuff like that?
So he came from Poland.
Okay.
In 1939.
He was on one of the last boats out.
Oh, wow.
So they lived for a year in the Bronx with his uncle, who gave them the money, his sister, his mother, and himself, to come to America. They lived there for a year. Then they moved to Prince Street. And on Prince Street, there was a place that made salamis and bolognas. And he went to work there, and he was working in the back making salamis and bolognas. And they also had a delicatessen out front. And the owner said, Sam, you're too smart to be back here, and brought him out front. And you started out as a cashier. And then, as my father said, you were made a man by they would bring you behind the counter and teach you how to make sandwiches. So he worked there for a while. Then the guy's brother had a delicatessen on Bergen Street, so he went to go work for him for a week, and at the end of the week, he's like, okay, pay me. He goes, no, my brother will pay me. He goes, no, your brother's going to pay me as a cashier. I worked as a counterman. You got to pay me. And he didn't. So he left, and he went to go work. I think he went to go work at Tabachnik's, and then he may have had a cup of coffee at Peterman's, but then he was invited to go back to Europe with an all-expense-paid trip so he could land on D-Day.
Courtesy of the U.S. Army.
Oh, wow.
And fought fought in the war, landed on D-Day,
And on Omaha Beach.
Holy shit.
and spent a 30-day campaign going to St. Lo. Some days getting 5 yards was considered a good day.
Yeah.
But then after the war was won, he came back to America and he bought a delicatessen in Lakewood, New Jersey, called the Clifton Delicatessen, and he was there for a few years. Then he came up in 1950. He bought Cartsman's, which was on Bergen Street, one of the Newark
Here in Newark.
Yeah.
great, one of the most famous delis in Newark at the time. 4 partners. I think they worked around the clock, 7 days a week. After about 5 years there, he went to Ann Street in New York to the Globe Delicatessen
Down in the business.
Yeah.
and worked there. But then he met my mother and got married, and this wasn't a business to have a family with, because he would go to work at 3 in.the.morning or come home at 1 in.the.morning.
Yeah.
And it just, so he sold, and they moved to Florida because his mother-in-law had a childcare place in Miami Beach where she would go pick up all the rich and famous people in Miami Beach at the hotels and bring them to her children's corner nursery school, and they would, and she said to my father, "Sam, the business is yours."
Yeah.
And so he was going to do it, but this guy was sick for the entire time they were down there. And he turned to my mother and said, "That's it. I'm moving north. I can't. My son is sick. I can't have this."
Yeah. It's Florida. That's what happens there.
Right. So they moved back. His mother-in-law sold her business and moved up here with him because she said, "If my grandson's going to be here, that's where I'm going to be." And his partner at Clifton Delicatessen was here, and he called my father up and said, "Sam, I need you." So my father came in December of 1962 and bought the place, and within a year, I think bought out his partner, and
This was
ever
when,
since.
when he came here. This was a struggling delicatessen.
Yeah. Which had already been here for what, like 40
Had
years?
been here. Yeah.
Well, in 62,
Yeah.
I mean, we
Sure.
go, we're pretty sure we can date this back to about 1910.
Okay.
A delicatessen in this location.
Sure.
Yeah, but at that point it was struggling, and there was a restaurant across the street,
Delicatessen, down the street.
which was very popular.
Yeah.
And they had lines lunchtime, and within 4 to 6 months, my father had the lines.
Yeah.
And the guy in the other restaurant was out on the sidewalk looking around like, what
Yeah.
happened?
Where'd he go?
Yeah.
Right.
My father advertised that Sam from Cartsman's is back in Newark. I think the place sat maybe 60 people, 70 people. He put 9 waitresses on. His partner was like, "What are you doing?" He said, "Running the place."
Yeah.
Put 9 waitresses on, brought in higher quality meats, and as Mark said,
Put pickles on the table.
within 6 months,
ran an operation.
he was busy. And then after the uprising, one by one, all the old delicatessens started closing, and all the owners came to work for my father.
Wow.
And my brother and I grew up in this.
Yeah.
Since we were 13 years old, we were working every school vacation, every summer. We would be here.
I worked. You always felt you were management.
Well, yes, true.
Well, he's just trying to get ready, for.
Right. Right. My father would say, "Michael, sweep the floor," and I'd go, I don't do that.
Yeah. Well, it's called delegation, really.
Exactly. Fast forward to when I bought the place. I've done bathrooms.
Sure.
So
Yeah, you
learn.
Yeah.
Whatever needs to be done.
We grew up here. The guys were. It was magical coming here, opening the place and watching the bread man come in and take an order, the food being put up and the smells.
Place come to life.
Yeah.
Place comes to life.
Yeah.
It really, it's
Cooking the pastrami, cooking the corned beef, the pickles are being cut. You heard that unique delicatessen aroma.
Sure.
Starts happening. People start coming in, and magical is a good word.
I mean, back in the 70s, you had people that came every single morning for breakfast, and they came the same time. They sat in the same tables. They all knew each other.
Of course, the area looked a lot different then.
Oh, of
because
course.
all these buildings
Yeah.
were filled with people.
Sure.
Now,
That's
not a lot.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting thing, which I do want to get to too, about like kind of the ebbs and flows that Newark has had. Literally, just like from when your father bought it in '62 Like the 60s were an interesting time here in Newark for sure.
Well, we go further
Well,
back
right.
than that because
Yeah.
our mother graduated from Weequahic High School. She
Okay.
grew up in Newark.
Oh, so yeah, so she's
And back
literally seen
back
whole
during the
thing.
Depression, her parents, my grandparents, owned an Italian restaurant five doors up on
Yeah.
Branford Place.
Right.
So our family has seen
Yeah,
it all.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask this question first because I think some of these like family run that have been in families for generations are extremely interesting. So we've done Calandras, we've had on Docks down in Atlantic City, which has been in the family for like since 1897, like stuff like that. And you guys kind of growing up in that business, your father doing it for so long, and you working here all the time. Were you ever just like F this, like I'm going to go do something totally different, or was it just kind of like
Well,
this is
he had a cup of coffee in law school, just enough to the point where when he left, he didn't get his deposit back that first year.
Yep.
I could tell you about a career at Macy's.
$5 grand down the drain.
I'll be happy to tell you about a career at Macy's.
yeah.
Our parents, and especially our father, did not want us going into this business.
Okay.
It's a rough business.
Yeah.
For many reasons. And we sent us off to college, go find what you love. We were always drawn here. We loved this place. We loved working together. I can tell you that there are not many people who know their parents as well as,
Sure.
we did because we worked together. We went home. It was, it was, and they also were able to hide from us the real tough stuff. Of what this is. So it always had this aura about it.
Yeah.
So after law school didn't work out, after Macy's didn't work out, we ended up here.
Yeah.
That was late 80s.
So
Late 80s, early 90s.
80, right after Mark had his cup of coffee at law school, he called me up, Michael, I'm moving to Florida. I'm coming to your fraternity, coming to visit you, and I'm going to take the auto train down. So it was whatever. I think he called me in the morning, and at dinner, I just said, hey, guys, I bought a really good keg tonight. My brother's moving to Florida, throwing a party. I think it was Monday night. The entire fraternity came down to send him off. And somewhere around 1 o'clock in the morning, we had a conversation. We remember it like it was yesterday. It was basically, you graduate college, we'll meet at the restaurant, we'll take it over.
Yeah.
My fraternity brothers to this day say, we remember you and Mark talking that night, and it was but we remember
Sometimes
the
some of the
conversation.
best ideas of all time happen like that.
And so I mean, look, I wanted to join the business right out of college. My father had a partner, and he wasn't ready to retire or sell and move on. So that's why I went to Macy's, and I learned that it was the best thing that ever happened because I went there and I realized, I could work for somebody else. And the president of Macy's was coming to Livingston, New Jersey, to the store. They had to stay till midnight to clean the changing rooms and make sure the place is perfect and be back at 5 a.m. just to make sure it's perfect because the president was going to come down and spend $5,000. And I said, and then just go to Newark and return it. Like, what about the customer that was coming every single day?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. The place should look great for them. I don't care about that. The place has to look good for the president. And that was the day I said, this isn't for me. I gave my notice. And then my father, right after I did that, my father turned to his partner and said, okay, look, my sons want to come in. Here's the deal. You take it, or you could buy me out and we'll go open someplace else.
Sure.
And listen, he was in his mid-60s. Mark was already here running the place. So he understood that was fine. So we took it over.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And then the other thing I'm curious about, because like when you were talking about how when he came in, like the changes that were made, like when he bought the place, the changes that were made kind of initially, and since it's been in your family since '62. How much? Obviously, there's like way more devil stuff on the wall, I would imagine, than there were in 1962. But like,
With the Devils in 62.
That was right. Yeah. Devils didn't come here till '83.
right?
So
like, what are some things kind of that are like the same, and then what are things that kind of have evolved since those early days when you guys were involved with this?
Well, the same as these.
Yeah.
The corned beef, the pastrami, the
Not true.
brisket.
not true.
What?
The brisket is now prime.
Well,
and before that it wasn't. And
You
one
know,
day
give
I'll
me a
teach you.
chance
I'll
to
teach
talk,
you.
Jesus.
I'll teach you the recipes, and you can
God,
you
spare me.
could do this.
Yeah, okay, right.
And honestly, even the pastrami is a better meat. We're getting
Sure.
a much better quality of
the
meat
quality has gotten
than we
better.
did.
But the point is, we've always served top quality corned beef,
course.
pastrami, brisket. I mean, you know, this is the stuff we were known for. This is the soul of the place. But over time, you know, people's tastes change. There are more women in the workplace. The workplace is more international now, and people are eating much differently.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be we had a 2-page menu.
Right.
How many different ways can you serve turkey, corned beef, pastrami, brisket? You know, you gotta have it as a sandwich, as a hot open, as a dinner.
Yeah.
Now, well, before COVID,
Sure.
we had a 12-page menu, and we had one page just devoted to vegetarian and vegan options. Now, in my Father's Day, no.
Yeah. It doesn't even
No.
exist.
But, you know,
And to his credit, he supported us. He said we need to do this.
Yeah.
He said let's bring in
Well,
salads.
Well, he supported it kicking and screaming. You want to do it? Fine. Go ahead and
That's
do it.
not true.
But then he saw people eating it. He said, you know, that was a good move.
Yeah. Great idea by me.
But you know, anything you add in this business is work.
Yeah.
And it's inventory.
Right.
And it's, you know, you need extra people to put out a larger menu. So there are costs involved to building out your menu. So you know, that's always a challenge but you have to you can have a table of 6 here from Prudential. Each one is going to eat differently.
Yeah.
So how do you add something that you can do within the framework of what you do?
Right.
Is the challenge, and we've met that pretty well, I think, so
Yeah,
far.
for sure. I don't know if you had anything else, but
We talked enough. He got it.
yeah.
Oh.
Well, because I just when I was joking before, but it's kind of true. So when we were eating lunch, I was reading through the website, and like you know the recipes, for
Which
it.
is very incomplete, by the way. We'll get
Sure.
to it one of these days.
Yeah, but still, you know, it gives you like a rough idea of kind of like what it's all about. But so when like reading that and like talking about the corned beef and like all that kind of stuff, it's like take me. You don't have to obviously give away the secrets, but kind of like the process, because I thought that was really interesting reading that, like in like pickling your own beef in what is it?
55-gallon vats.
Yeah.
So
Stainless, big 55-gallon stainless.
Yeah,
my
like, that's
father-
pretty cool, because I feel like not a lot of places do that.
no.
Yeah.
No. A lot of places don't, and the reason is the meats are paid in 7 days. It takes 14 days to make a corned beef the way we do it. So you're putting out $2,000, and you can't even touch that for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
sometimes 3 weeks.
Right.
So
You've heard of the term cash flow.
Sure. Yeah, it's big in business.
Yes.
So
From what I've heard.
So, I mean, my father created a recipe for his brining. He had a taste that he liked. And we have it, and we have a company that makes us our brine, and we then make it in the vats, and weekly we put up, you know, depending on the size, you know, 25, 35 to 60 briskets
Yeah.
a week, and it takes 2 weeks for these things to pickle.
Right.
Now, other places, if they do that, will often choose to inject the brisket.
Okay.
And injecting takes 1 to 2 days to cure a brisket.
How many briskets are
us-
fit in one of those vats?
Again, it all depends.
Size,
Back in the
size.
day when we were getting smaller briskets, it was 30.
Okay.
Now it's anywhere from 22 to 26.
Interesting.
Depending on what comes in.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And then some of the other stuff, like the homemade stuff that you guys do here. Like, what are some of those things? Like we mentioned, like the pickles on the table. Are you guys doing the pickling of the pickles?
No,
too?
No,
pickles we don't do.
Pickles are tough because you need to be able to buy the Kirby's.
Sure.
And there are times during the year that it's really hard to come by good Kirby's.
Okay.
And the larger companies buy up the good ones.
Yeah.
And that's been, you know, we just started using a different pickle company because we were having problems with quality.
Gotcha.
And these guys should have good buying power all through the year, and they make a really good product.
Yeah.
So we're happy with that.
No,
in
it's
terms of what we do make, we make most everything here. The tongues are pickled on the premises, the prime top rounds, the briskets, whole turkeys.
Tongues.
I said tongues. You're not paying attention. You see
not.
that? You're not paying attention.
Yeah, you're boring me.
Thank you. The coleslaw, the macaroni salad, the knishes. 90% of the menu,
Yeah.
off the top of my head, is produced here,
That's
and the
awesome.
rest of it we know how to buy.
Tuna fish, chicken salad.
Yeah.
You know, we mix everything here.
Soups.
The cookies, or or if we
Some
don't,
of the-
if we don't, do some of the cookies we have a bakery make for us.
Yeah.
Others we make ourselves.
So some of these places, and I'm sure maybe not all of them, but I overheard like a couple conversations that you were having before, and like some of the places that you use for maybe like the bread and stuff like that are local places too. Right?
All local.
That to me, all local. So that to me is like another really cool thing about this place being kind of like a institution here in Newark, but then also utilizing everybody else here in Newark. Because I think like a place like Newark needs that. You know what I mean? Because there are such like great places here, and then it's kind of like the rising tides type thing, and using like what you have here, and I think that's really what makes it kind of all come together.
When my father ran the place up until probably the 80s, I would say 95% of our product came from Newark.
Yeah.
Now we have to get our briskets from New York. We get our pastrami from New York. That's made for us. The bread is local. We try. I mean, even our produce back up until the mid 90s, actually no, into the 2000s, was from the Newark Farmers Market.
Yeah.
But
Doesn't exist anymore.
those things don't exist anymore.
It's harder and harder.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
the suppliers are drying up. The small mom and pops are out of business,
Yeah.
and or gobbled up by the bigger companies, and it's hard to get the quality that we want. But we keep looking, and like with the pickles, we love the guy we were dealing with, but he just didn't have the capacity to get us exactly what we wanted.
Right.
So we had to go to a bigger company.
Yeah.
We prefer smaller companies,
Of course.
if we can.
Yeah.
But it's all about the quality.
Yeah.
It's got to be quality. It's got to be consistent.
Or we pay more money. Yeah, I mean, listen, the cost is always something that you think about, but it's really quality is number one. And if it's going to cost us a little more, like we used to use just a choice roast beef, and our supplier sent us a prime roast beef one day, and we're like, whoa, wait a second. And we were like, what is the price? And we're like, you know what? It's so worth
Yeah.
the difference in the price that just we use a prime roast, a prime top round. So we make less money. I'd rather see the smile on someone's face.
One of Michael's mantras is we want to be better today than we were yesterday. We want to be better tomorrow than we were today. So we're constantly looking for ways we can make the business better.
Yeah.
This was one of the very obvious ways we could do that.
Right. No, that's awesome. Okay, so we're going to take our break just because I need to reset the camera. So we'll be back. We'll talk more stuff that we've been talking about already. So this is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We're here with Michael and Marc Brummer at Hobby's Delicatessen in Newark, New Jersey. We'll be right back.
The Mayo Performing Arts Center is the heart of arts and entertainment in Morristown, New Jersey. MPAC presents over 200 events annually and is home to an innovative children's arts education program. To see MPAC's upcoming schedule of world-class concerts, stand-up comedy, family shows, and more, head to mayoarts.org or just click the link in our show notes. Bored of going to the same park? Want to try a new local adventure? Well, then check out njspots.com, your home for finding a new spot to discover right here in New Jersey. With dozens of maps to check out, local hiking spots, family-friendly places, and seasonal suggestions, NJ Spots is waiting for you to find somewhere new to explore. That's njspots.com.
All right, we're back for segment 2 of this episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm your host, Mike Ham. We're here at Hobby's Delicatessen in Newark, New Jersey with Michael and Marc Brummer. So first segment, we learned a little bit about the background of this business, how long it's been here, your father, his history, his background, which I think is so fascinating. Like, I didn't realize that, like, as you guys were telling me that story, and why would I know that? Because I don't know him. But, and then just kind of like what goes into this business almost like on a daily basis. But one of the things that I think is cool, and this definitely gives off like local delicatessen vibes, is like all this stuff on the walls. So there's a lot of Devil stuff, obviously. So you guys are clearly Devils fans.
Well, Mark was a Ranger fan.
I was a Rangers fan. I was up all night in '94.
Okay.
But a funny thing happened. The Devils moved from the Meadowlands a block away from our business.
Yeah.
And they sunk that first piling. How could I be a Rangers fan?
That's so true.
They moved to our neighborhood.
Yeah.
They didn't just move to our city. They
It's
moved to
our
our
only
neighborhood.
local major sports team.
100%.
Once the Nets
Yeah.
left, that was it.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So
And they're called the New York Red Bulls that play in Harrison, New Jersey.
well, don't get me started on that. The Giants, the Jets, the World Cup, all that crap.
Yeah.
It's
But-
all New York, New Jersey.
the Devils embrace Jersey.
Yeah.
And they embrace Newark. They are
Yeah.
fantastic neighbors, and they do great things for the city. So I am.
And very good supporters.
And the good
Since-
supporters
since
of
day
us,
one.
we're good supporters of them.
Since day one.
Yeah, it's a great
they've been-
relationship.
Yeah, they've been good supporters of Hobby's Restaurant.
Yeah, and you mentioned to me off mic too, like kind of like cool moments, and like some of those have taken place with the Devils, like Devils players coming in,
Sure.
front office folks coming in, like that's got to be kind of cool, also to be able to like
100%.
go up to someone cool and be like, "Here's a Reuben," which I had a Reuben and it was phenomenal, by the way. But like that's got to be like a really cool experience that kind of goes beyond just like the daily, running a delicatessen type thing.
So at the first year or two of the arena, Chico Resch, former goaltender, Stanley Cup champion with the Islanders and also the Devils' first goaltender, they would go around the arena with Chico Eats. And we had a stand for 3 years at the arena. And he would come to us and he did, pastrami, then he did corned beef. But you ran out of food options there.
Yeah.
So we were the first place they came to out of the arena. And Chico came with his sister. And he walked in, and they were setting up a table, and he walked in, he turns to Mark and I, because we met him a few times, him coming over, and came somewhat friendly, and he goes, got to do something.
Turn to Mark and me.
Mark and me, I apologize.
Thank you.
I apologize.
Thank you.
I apologize.
Appreciate that,
Sorry.
honestly. I was gonna say something, but I'm glad you did.
You got to keep the guy honest.
I only say it just so that you can say that.
Thank you.
to make
Thank
me
you
feel
very
better.
much. Thank you.
So he came in, what could I do to my sister? I got to do something. And we had kind of thought, and so you had a Reuben, we made a pastrami Reuben with Swiss cheese, and we're thinking of, well, a pastrami Reuben with pepper jack cheese would be good, and maybe a little hot sauce. It's hot. So he goes, oh, I love that. So we have a Chico Reuben on our menu with, your pastrami, your Russian dressing, sauerkraut, and pepper jack cheese and hot sauce, and he took a bottle of hot sauce and put it on the Reuben underneath the pepper jack cheese, so that when she bit into
Sibling
it,
sabotage.
Oh,
I
of
think
course.
we call
so
it.
she
Yeah.
bites into it, and she smiles.
Of course.
And the tears
Well,
are coming down.
the camera is focused right on her face. The camera shows Chico bringing the Reuben to the sister and
yeah.
focuses on her. She takes the bite, and it's really good.
She's on fire.
And she was on fire.
Yeah.
And that was a great moment. But, we become very friendly with Chico and a bunch of others there. And, these quote-unquote famous people. One thing about this business, you find that people put no matter who you are, you put your pants on one leg at a time.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
no one that, no one's that special.
Right.
Not to say Chico, they're special. People are special.
Special.
Oh, quiet with you. But there's no one you can't look in the eye.
Yeah.
That's
You know?
not true. You couldn't look Shaq in the eye. You had to look up at him.
Shaq I had to look up to.
Most people.
But another guy, a gracious, good, gracious guy.
Yeah. And he's like a local guy. He's like born here.
He is, and here he is building the second building he's finishing, getting ready to start a third.
Yeah.
I mean, coming back to his community.
And rebuilt a little movie theater. He's done a lot of good things for Newark. So
Then President Clinton, you told me too, right? That was another one.
we fed him off site.
Okay.
He came. They gave us less than 24 hours notice.
Great.
And it was some experience.
Yeah, I would imagine.
We didn't meet him.
Okay.
We had to get set up at the off-site location, but at the end of the day, it was fun. It was a lot
Yeah.
of stress,
Yeah.
but all of a sudden I realized, you know what? doesn't even matter if he likes what he eats. The fact that you fed the president is the thing.
That's the thing.
So I felt a lot better
Sure.
about that. But we got word that he enjoyed it.
No, it's so cool. Yeah, and I totally agree, because we've had some other places on this show that are like, as I mentioned a couple, but some similar vibes of places where it's like Donkey's Place in Camden, this place, but they've been there for forever, and like that's a place where it doesn't matter who you are when you walk in there, like you're gonna get a cheesesteak, you're gonna be like a normal person, and everyone's gonna be like on your same level. And I feel like this place kind of has the same.
100%. We have senators come in here. We've had a Supreme Court justice come in here. I mean,
Yeah,
It's a very democratic place.
100%. Yeah,
I'm not calling it Democratic, Republican. I mean,
course.
I mean,
Small d.
it's
Small d.
small d. It's one of the things I love about it is the incredible cross section of people we have coming in here and sitting next to each other in the dining room. It's,
Right.
it's amazing to see. But
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's a delicatessen is a place of community. It always has been. It used to be the place for the Jewish community, but here it's a place for the community. All of Newark comes here, and we know lots of people, and it's fun.
yeah. And that's right. So I do want to build off that. And it's a great segue by you. So you're such a pro. Just the community side of it.
See,
it went right to your head.
No, it did not go right to my
Got to
head.
get you a bigger hat now.
I appreciate it. Recognizes quality when he sees.
Of course. So, one of the things that I think is really cool about what you guys do, and only knowing you now for the last like 45 minutes, is like the strong bond that you guys seem to have with the community at large. Like Newark as a whole, of course, but then just kind of like what goes on inside the restaurant, around the restaurant, all that kind of stuff. So I guess my first part of this question is, because you and your family have seen so many seasons of Newark, does that kind of like tie you in deeper, like with all the stuff that you've kind of, like the business has gone through, what you guys have seen? Is that what kind of like draws you to it? Or is there something else like that we're missing as kind of like an outsider?
Well, we were closed for COVID. Closed on March 17th, 2020, our busiest day of the year.
St. Patrick's Day.
And-
a lot of corned beef and cabbage.
Oh, yeah.
We were closed for 28 months, but about a year and a half in, we were here, and we were outside, and a older woman, much older woman of Newark, walking past said, "Could I walk inside?" "Sure, go ahead inside." And she was crying. So, "Why are you crying?" She goes, "I just want to say goodbye." "Goodbye? What do you mean?" "Well, you're closing." I said, "No, we're not closing. We're redoing the place." And a smile came on her face. And she was so happy. And what I think we had 3 or 4 happen.
Yeah.
And like that's why we're here.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we feed the corporations, we feed everyone, but just what hobbies meant to these few people, that they want to walk in and say goodbye, and the smile on their face that we were coming back, and we had a sign, "We're coming back soon," and just the people that would stop by and couldn't wait, and just the support.
Again, from every walk of life.
Yeah.
From every walk of life. We have an emotional attachment with a lot of our customers.
For sure.
We really do. We try to treat them like family. Many of them are like family. Been feeding them for years.
Yeah.
We've been feeding the grandkids of the grandparents who used to come in, and they would teach their kids and their kids.
I would want that be sitting with my father, and someone would come in. My grandmother used to bring me here, and now I'm bringing my grandkids. And I said, "Boy, that's a long time." And now they're saying it to us.
Yeah.
Now they're saying it to us, and I'm like, "Wait a second! Am I still in college? Am I not that fraternity brother? Drinking half the anyway." It's amazing.
Yeah.
The number of people that come in, or people who have moved to Atlanta, and they get off the plane and they come here first, and they say, "I had to come here. I don't want my family to know I'm in yet. I had to get my hobby sandwich. Now I'm going to go see them."
Yeah.
And that's we love that people, we're one of the first stops for people when they come back. It really makes you feel good.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so beyond this community that directly you serve. But you do like a lot of other. So like we have like the Operation Salami Drop boxes over there. I know that right now, like I saw the Instagram video with you and the fake Mark.
Mini Mark.
Dude.
I would do it with Mark, but he's late. He doesn't show up on time. Delicatessen starts at 7 a.m., not 10 a.m.
About this stuff, what's the month of August? This is going to come out after August, but the month of August you were doing.
So it's called Delicatessen Month across America.
Okay.
Our friend Ziggy Gruber, who owns Kenny and Ziggy's Delicatessen, probably one of the premier delicatessen in America.
He's down in Houston.
And we were in the documentary Deli Man with him. And he was not invited into the Houston Restaurant Week because he wasn't fancy enough. So he said, you know what, screw you, I'm creating my own month. And he created Delicatessen Across America Month. And he reached out to friends who were in delicatessens and said, hey, let's do this. And what do delicatessens do? We donate to charity. That's what delicatessens do. So this is, I think, the 6th year or 7th year, and we've done different charities in Newark. Last year we started with NJPAC Arts Education because our mother had just passed away, and she taught us music. She was a professional. She played piano, played here in Newark at Symphony Hall, I think, and so she taught us our love of music and the arts. So we decided to support them, and this year we're also supporting New Jersey Devils Youth Foundation, which is just a great organization, also teaching the youth of Newark and surrounding areas about hockey.
Yeah.
And it's
And all the lessons
Of course.
that teaches you.
Yeah.
Two really good organizations, and you have to look somewhere other than yourself in this life.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things our parents taught us for sure. So we often have things like that we're doing.
and you talked about Operation Salami Drop. So our father in World War II, his friends in Newark would send him a salami. He would
Every
a
month.
6-foot, a 6-pound salami. They just wrap it up, a fresh one, and send it. And by the time it got to him, moldy and everything, but you just wash it off because there's a casing on it. So we always knew about that. So when
Well, we knew about it. We knew that when his unit saw him with the salami, they wouldn't let him go. They surrounded him, sat down on their helmets,
Yeah.
and they refused to let him move until he
got
took
him.
out his bayonet and cut
Sure.
off a hunk.
Little
From
taste.
and honestly, that's all we knew about him being in the war.
We knew he landed on D-Day, and it was really bad.
And that
No, that was the only details.
until like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He just wouldn't talk about it. So after 9/11, one of my fraternity brothers and college roommate joined the Guard because he lost a cousin to Cantor Fitzgerald. He was 40 years old. He's like, I'm a lawyer. I'm not using my law degree right now, so the Army needs lawyers. So he joined, and we went to a Giants game, and he was telling me this. I said, do you realize we could go to war? And I swear, I think the war started that day. Because we were sitting, we had really good seats, so we were able to see a TV. And he's like, if I have to go, I'll go. And lo and behold, he told me he was called up. So I said, okay, I think I sent him some salamis when he was training at Fort Drum. And so when he finally went over, he was running convoy in Kuwait for 3 months. And he was like, don't send anything. Iraq is much nicer.
Yeah.
So he worked for the head general, one of the generals, and he was in one of Saddam's palaces, and so I was able to see every morning that he was on AOL. I was able to see it. So he sent an email, hey, I'm out. I landed. So I emailed him, okay, I have salamis I'm sending to you, and one by one I got emails back from his superiors thanking us. And I turned to Mark. I said, look at this. These guys are in a castle. What about or Palace? What about these other guys that are on the streets? So we said, okay, let's send one to everyone in his unit.
Yeah.
We figured how many 5,000.
We're not the military guy. Our father was a military guy.
There are 23,000 people in his unit.
Holy shit.
So we put yellow flyers on every table. In one afternoon, the next morning at 8 a.m., first customer in, calls Mark over, hands him a check for $100. I came back from Vietnam. No one thanked us. I have to support this. And
He said, I'm against the war,
right.
but I have to support the troops.
Sure.
And then 2 weeks later,
Wrote the check to Michael and said, we may have some.
Yeah. Definitely.
2 weeks
That was
later,
amazing to me.
2 weeks later, the New York Times Jersey section did an article on it. So when we made our first shipment in beginning of May, which went to my friend Mike, the U.S. Post Office got involved because our mailman said, "Oh, what's going on with all these salamis?" And so they got involved. And we luckily, as Mark says, it was a very slow news day, and we had a lot of publicity.
We had all the local news stations were here as we were shipping them out.
Yeah.
And
The
one of the
AP was
guys,
here.
the chaplain from the Guard actually blessed the box of salami, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And we had a chain of guardsmen from the Teaneck Armory, which was part of the 42nd Infantry. We had like 50 people in a chain to a U.S. mailbox truck, and we had
That's really cool.
And then so we made local news, and we were in the AP, and starting 7:30 in the morning, the phone starts ringing with all different radio stations to talk, just give an interview, and then by 10 o'clock it was Michael, CNN's on line 1, Fox News on line 2. What'd you get? Channel 8 in. So like I had
He was the gatekeeper for all of
I
it.
had these car
he took all
services
the
like
good
Channel
ones,
8 where?
And he took all the good ones, the car service into Manhattan and this and that.
Yeah.
And he gave me the one where you take a dirt road somewhere in central Jersey to a little cabin. God knows who's in this cabin.
Sure.
And that's the interview I did. But it was amazing how it just took off. It made national news, and we started getting contributions from all over the country.
On Monday or Tuesday, the second week, our mailman walked in with 4 bushels of letters, and the amazing thing is, from the coast, you got checks.
Yeah.
From Middle America, cash, and I'll never forget this one.
With the possible exception of Chicago.
Right.
Chicago sent checks.
Yeah.
Everywhere else it was cash.
This
With the mail.
one woman sent us a note, $10 bill, because we asked for a $10 donation for salami, mustard. We threw in black and white cookies, and I would always throw the Star Ledger from that day. I would always put that into every box. This one woman wrote, "If this is real, God bless you, and if this is fake, God damn you." and by the way, I found a lot of the letters.
Oh yeah,
Mom had them,
good.
so I have
Good,
them.
good, good.
So
It was
that
very real.
really, I want to find that because I want to frame that.
Yeah.
But it was amazing, the support. I mean, we've sent over 31 tons of salami, or thank God we're not sending any more.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. I mean, this whole place and the whole front room had little nails. We still have some here, and there were 3 or 4 salamis hanging on every nail, because we started this, and all of a sudden I was like, wait, I don't have. I ordered 1,000 salamis to hang up,
Sure.
2-pound salamis, and I was like, oh wait, I don't have a place to hang them. So one Saturday, I'm like, okay, and everyone punched out. I had 5 guys punch out, and they stayed and hammered in nails, and then we got pegboards and we put them all over the place. And guys were like, I don't even want to get paid for the time I do this. This is, this, I got to give back.
Yeah.
Myself. And I'm like, no, we don't want that. They're like, look, we're giving back. And everyone really took it on, and we're very proud to be a part of it.
We made no money on it. I mean, every last dime that came in went towards the shipping, the salami, the mustard. We didn't make a dime on it.
Yeah.
This is all people volunteered.
Yeah.
These are
That's
not
amazing.
conscripted. They volunteered for this.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. It really was amazing. And the people that would come in and just, make a donation, they wrote letters. Some people got letters back. My daughter's school, elementary school, they all wrote letters, and, they got a letter back to the school, and the principal read it. and like they were all like so excited
Sure,
that
yeah.
that happened. And some people did get letters back. We had a few when they would come back, when the soldiers would come back to America, when they would land in wherever town. Let's say someone from Essex County would land in Newark. They had 2 weeks from that moment of being away. Leave. And we had 3 or 4 guys walk in the door. Was right off the
More
plane.
than 3 or 4.
But off the plane, one guy was just walking around, and I was outside. I go, wearing fatigues. I go, could I help you? He goes, yeah, there's some deli around here that sent salamis. I brought him in, and he's like, I just wanted to shake their hand. And I'm like, you're not going to sit down? He goes, no, I just want to, we're like, no, sit down.
And I would invariably introduce them to a packed dining room.
Right.
And people stood up and gave an ovation.
That's great.
Everyone wanted to buy him lunch.
Yeah.
It was one of the great things that we've been.
Yeah.
But it's a little thing.
Right. Well, it's
Like,
amazing to me that it's like this is a local delicatessen, and just kind of like the impact that it has beyond just, like I said before, like the beginning of that question, like the immediate community that's like lives right around here or in Newark at large or New Jersey really, and kind of just transcends that. And it's really cool that you guys have been able to do that, and why I think this has just been such a cool episode, because it could easily just be like, hey, let's talk about corned beef and pastrami, but there's like so much.
We could do
more
that for an hour.
I'm sure. Yeah. Maybe even more than an hour. But it's just like, it's so much more than that. It's like your family business, like your father started it, like all the, stuff that he went through to get to this point, this delicatessen to this point, I think is just so interesting and amazing. And just kind of like the impact that it has, I think is phenomenal. It just goes to show that, if you're doing good, like the vibrations, you surround yourself with good people, and then that stuff starts to come back to you.
I think that's Delicatessen, though. I really do.
Delicatessen is again, it's community.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's a small. There are many different communities.
Sure.
Right. The expanding circles.
We have the number of people that come in here, especially in the fall or spring when like the spring they'll go to the cherry blossoms, who haven't been to Newark in 20 years, 30 years. And they come here for lunch, and it just brings them back.
Yeah.
And, they'll bring their families and, their kids or their grandkids, and they start telling their stories of Newark. And it's nice that we're here to hear these stories.
Yeah.
And to be around for people to tell the story and bring their grandkids and show them Newark and what is happening here. Just it's amazing what's happening down here.
Yeah.
So when NJPAC was built, 1967 happened. Prudential, PSE&G, some of the law firms not moving out really saved downtown
Sure.
Newark, because
Yeah.
it could have just become a ghost town. And Prudential investing in the Gateway office complex, it saved downtown Newark. Fast forward to when NJPAC was built, New Jersey Performing Arts Center, which was a brilliant idea. When that place opened, it really was the
Thank you, Ray
rebirth.
Chambers,
Yeah,
for,
thank
for
you, Ray
making that
Chambers,
first
yeah,
donation to get it going.
Yep. That really was the rebirth of downtown Newark. We
Yeah.
hadn't opened a charge account here in years. All of a sudden, businesses started moving in. The Devils coming in, the arena coming in, put everything on. It was like put the whole thing on steroids. It's a very, very different city now. It's still a city with some real problems.
Yeah, right.
But the point is, there was a time when people never would have set foot in downtown Newark.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Right.
NJPAC, I'm going to talk in generalities now. NJPAC brought back the people who grew up in Newark, who loved Newark, who missed Newark, who wept when they saw what was happening in Newark. They
One second.
came back.
The city also took all the police that were behind desks and put them on the streets. So the streets were safer, and people who would never step foot on our side of Broad Street started venturing.
Yeah.
So that, and it wasn't just NJPAC opening up and bringing back all the old people that used to go to symphony halls. They also changed a little the culture in downtown Newark by just making it safer.
Yeah.
And then the arena opening brought young people here.
Yes.
Who never had a reason to come out except for a class trip to the Newark Library, Newark Museum.
Yeah.
For the library. And people realized as they came down that Newark is a city like any other city.
Yeah.
You know, it's got good spots. It's got places you may want to stay away from, but
Every place has
they're
that,
neat
you know?
places to eat. The architecture is really cool.
Yes.
It's got a museum. It's got culture. There's so much more here. And that's part of what's leading to the building boom that's happening in downtown and elsewhere.
Yeah.
Mark likes to tell the story. He knew the arena was going to make it when Britney Spears played here, and
Icon.
there was groups
She
of
ain't
10.
for me.
Well, sure.
But
Oh, please, please.
But
He's trying to be as a guy that's got a lot of
when
experience.
when I saw a group of 12-year-old blonde, blue-eyed girls walking on Broad Street,
That's quite the
Looking,
change.
I mean,
for their parents at,
Sure.
at 11
That
o'clock
was-
at night.
Yeah.
Yes.
that was unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
But it showed me that there's
Something's
there's a chance, and people again finding that it's a city like any other city, and so the Devil's opening night, we were packed, but people were pissed. They didn't want to be here. It was season ticket holders from the Meadowlands.
Yeah.
Why did they move here? I don't want to be here. I kept my tickets just for this year. There's no way I'm renewing. This stinks. But by the third or fourth time that they came in, they said, you know what? This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Newark has a vibe.
Yep.
This is not like, pulling into a parking lot at the Meadowlands. There's a certain energy here. There are places to eat. We feel safe.
Yeah.
And this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, people's attitudes and people's idea of what Newark is has been gradually changing. And it's great to see because we always knew what kind of city Newark was.
Right.
We've been here all our lives.
Yeah.
And, again, Newark has had its problems, but Newark is also a wonderful city filled with wonderful people who we love to have here. And it's good to see good things happening here.
Absolutely. Guys, this episode has been awesome. Like, I loved just learning about the place itself, then just this whole second segment with the stuff that you guys do, like off-site and for the community and with the community and kind of your relationship with it is just, it's really like inspiring, I would say. Like, just for like a small business to basically have that kind of impact, like I was mentioning before, I think is just so cool.
My wife should be so impressed.
Yeah, listen, you give her my number and I'll tell her. But
I'd appreciate that. I'll get
yeah.
it to you when we're done. Let her know,
Yeah,
please.
for sure. Okay, so if people are listening to this episode, they've never been here, even if they have, they want to learn more about what you guys have going on. What are some places that they can go to do that? Website, Instagram, social media, whatever.
So hobbiesdeli.com. That means you got to get that website really.
Website isn't all we want it to be. We just haven't had a chance to
Yeah.
pull it all together yet. But we're going to get there.
It does the job.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's a start.
so-
There's a lot more to put there, but
Facebook, Instagram, at Hobbies Deli.
yeah,
Right.
we try to be interesting on
Yeah.
on those sites.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you guys are
I mean,
doing great
it's-
on
it's-
social. Yeah.
It's really it's the way I run our social media campaign is I usually am making fun of Mark. I come
Mark
up with
with the broad
something,
shoulders.
a picture, my mini Mark, just something, and I write something and I hand him the phone. If he laughs, he'll change a word or two and he'll post it. If he doesn't laugh, he hands it back to me and goes, "You could do better." So really, I run.
We're having a conversation with people.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
If I can get him to laugh or my wife, if I can get the two of them to laugh at something I did, that's it. I don't
That's a
care
win.
I'll put up a post and two people will like it, but Mark and my wife Bonnie laugh. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's good. It's perfect.
Awesome.
It's good.
No, I love that. So I'll make sure that I put all that in the show notes so people just go click it so they can check it out. And then obviously come down here the next time you're in Newark, or just, I feel like this is a place you can just make the trip just for this. Like, that's how good the lunch
He's
we
great.
just had was. So,
Well, thank you.
of course. So I'll put that in the show notes. I'll put greeningsforthegardenstate.com, which is the website for the show, in the show notes so you can check out all of our episodes, including this one. Mark, Michael, thank you guys so much for doing this with us today. This was phenomenal. I appreciate
pleasure.
everything. Yeah, I appreciate the time.
Thanks for coming down.
Absolutely. So, again, this has been the Greenies for the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We were here at Hobby's Delicatessen in Newark, New Jersey with Michael and Marc Brummer. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.